Vikramadithya Gourineni, Executive Director, New Energy at Amara Energy and Mobility, joins us right now on the show to talk about the big announcement that they made last week. They've announced a strategic technology collaboration with Goshen Innobat Batteries. Vikramadithya, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Thanks so much for joining in today. And do tell us the significance of this development, because obviously the street likes it. At the onset, we loved seeing the announcement and what it could mean for you, but would love to hear from you the details.
Sure. Good morning, and thank you for having me on the show. I just want to kind of comment on what the earlier gentleman was saying. I think definitely the future of storage is bright. There is a little bit of concern on the pricing, but India being a country that has, I don't think we're going to be slowing down on our renewable investments anytime soon. Getting batteries at the right price, the right technology is going to be very critical. And it's something that I think is quite enabled with the kind of partnership that we've signed. The partnership we've signed with Goshen Innobat, it's a European subsidiary of Goshen High-Tech from China. They're a top 5 player in China, and by LFP chemistry, one of the leaders, especially in the technology. We believe that, for all of our automotive stationary customers that are emerging, that this is going to be a great move. It allows us to bring world-class technology and products, to their doorsteps in India. And we're looking forward to, collaborating deeply, not only in cell making, but also having access to the raw materials, that kind of pricing that your previous guest mentioned, and being able to eventually secure some level of raw material security and pricing so that we can have a successful project here in India.
Got it. What are the kind of timelines that you look for all of this, Vikramadithya? I mean, in terms of one, this to get consummated, and two, you getting access to not just the cell technology, but the other things that you spoke about.
So the technology transfer would begin immediately. The project governance chart is in place, and we're starting to exchange the information. Over the next 3 to 4 months, we would be, for the phase 1 plants, going through a detailed factory design, industrial design, which equipment we'd want to use, utility, everything, the detailed project scoping, and then hopefully 3 to 4 months we'll be able to commence construction on the products we're licensing from Goshen. And in the meantime, there's an entire effort to get our R&D team, our scientists, to get the technology information, get the product information, get all the right things, start setting up the supplier-based supply chain. So once we start construction in about a quarter from now, best in class in China, 12 to 16 months even, they're able to get factories up and running. I think that's quite aggressive, being our first time in India really happening. We believe 2 to 2.5 years for execution, getting to startup production is a reasonable target. Definitely trying to keep it closer to 2 years.
Got it. So yeah, between 2.5 years after a quarter's delay or a quarter's period goes by is what we are looking at. Okay. From both ends, is this an exclusive partnership, or could Goshen also do a tie-up with somebody else, or you also need or do a tie-up with some other global major as well?
The agreement is non-exclusive in nature, so that's something that we both sat down and agreed upon. I think the way that at least Amara figures is, I'm not too concerned about competing with other licensees of my partner. The world is very large. I think there's a lot of other players there. Like I said, Goshen is top 5 in China, which means there's other large players who are coming to India, who are importing to India. We didn't intend to be that there wasn't a deal breaker for us. Neither are they exclusive with us, neither are we exclusive with them. But for all intents and purposes, I think once we have this technology in hand for the LFP chemistry, there's no reason to look out. I think it's quite comprehensive, the product portfolio that we're going to be bringing to India. So we're just looking ahead for that.
Got it. So way ahead, if I look at what's happening in India and possibly elsewhere as well, Vikramadithya, battery companies are doing tie-ups with OEMs. One of your peers has done a tie-up with the South Korean major Hyundai, and there are others as well, I believe M&M, Maruti, etc. What's the roadmap for what you do? Because I'm guessing this will not be necessarily just a B2C after-sales product, right? You were looking at the entire market. How do you stitch up partnerships? Is this India-based? Do you have access to other markets? Please tell us.
So you're absolutely right. I think the existing battery play we have, which is largely aftermarket driven, it's a completely different scenario in electric mobility. Mostly it's going to be B2B to the OEM, and any after-sales service is also going to be largely driven through the OEM, being much more complicated packs. Uh, in terms of how we engage with OEMs, I think we're very flexible and open-minded. We see different models around the world. There are OEMs who've invested in their own cell making independently. I don't think that's been off to a great success. I can't think of many great examples where it's been very successful. But there are cases where there are joint ventures with the battery maker, technology licensing from the battery maker, which is now happening. In the United States, if you see recently Tesla, GM, Ford, a bunch of OEMs are actually licensing technology from CATL, who's the global leader. In the case of Excite, which you mentioned, that's more of just a supply arrangement. I think we're open to anything. If any OEM wants to have a deeper tie-up with us, I think we're willing to engage in that conversation. As for the Indian market, of course, we already touched on the business model not really being aftermarket driven. But in terms of exports, we have broad export rights as part of this arrangement. There are some mutually agreed and I think acceptable conditions in which exports are slightly curtailed. But if we look at the reality of it, I think there are some markets that we are quite strong in as Amara in the Indian Ocean Rim with specific segmentation, especially stationary storage. We supply pretty much all tower companies, telecom tower companies in this region. We are quite strong in UPS, and we are very, very strong. We're having a very strong portfolio in light electric mobility. So two-wheeler, three-wheeler, where India is anyways the largest market in the world, but there's a lot of synergy with Southeast Asia as well. But even then, I think the kind of project we're talking about, 16 to 20 gigawatt hour, it looks quite small when you're looking at the type of installation base in China that's announced in the United States and Europe. So I think we'll opportunistically pursue exports, but largely we may not have that kind of scale to divert out of India because as it is, the Indian demand itself is growing, and we're looking forward to catering to that market.
Okay, fair point. Just a follow-up there, Vikramadithya. So yes, you would be open to talk to OEMs if they want to come. I'm just trying to understand, would that be a strategy that you would pursue? Go into the large Indian four-wheeler players and do some tie-ups with them? Because I'm guessing that the tie-ups that those guys might have with the other battery makers as well need not be exclusive. Why would an OEM want to depend on only one player or one supplier?
Like I said, different OEMs are pursuing different strategies. Many of them who many of our customers who we started contacting ever since the news broke, they're very optimistic about it. It's mostly just looking forward to a supply arrangement. But ultimately, I think any OEM, especially in a nascent market like India, may not be as keen to tie up, especially in an exclusive manner, because they are taking a bet on technology. When localizing a product, there's an advantage there that eventually the cost and quality can match imported product. So that's something we're looking to do. Ultimately, I think it's up to the different OEMs. There are OEMs who've announced investments into their own cell making as well. So I don't think that we would be going and trying to compete with them there.
Got it. But I also heard you say that some of these haven't quite got off to a very good start. So it'd be interesting, maybe they entrust an expert like you or some of your peers for this. Last couple of questions, really. One is, what's the growth? I mean, various figures out there. Would love to understand how you guys in your business modeling think of the growth of the industrial battery segment or the overall battery segment, let's say till the end of this decade. Maybe a CAGR number, maybe post a couple of years when EVs become more mainstream than what they are right now. Any numbers out there?
I'm not going to be able to give you an exact number right now.
Okay.
But I think overall the battery market is growing. It's growing on both the legacy powertrains as well as the new upcoming ones. I think that's the beauty of India as a market. We're a developing market, growing market, and a largely underpenetrated market as a vehicle market. So we do see that there's going to be a long runway still for legacy powertrains, and we'll continue to have similar growth numbers to what we have today. And on the EV side, I think the growth is going to be a little bit more explosive, but it's going to take time to really see mainstream adoption. And probably where we'd like to see, we're also trying to figure out is how high EV penetration will go organically. And in some countries where policy is a more major driver to get it above a certain threshold, we need to see where India really wants to end up. And on the stationary side, while demand for lead-acid batteries in certain segments is flagging through exports, where we can still send our products at great pricing, great quality. There's still a robust demand for lead-acid battery, and there's of course an export demand. Bringing lithium into different stationary applications slowly is something we've already started doing at a pack level. And we do believe that energy storage is going to be a really significant market going forward. And that's something on our roadmap as well.
Got it. Yeah, one of the notes had expressed concerns about the lower growth in the lead acid battery segment for sure. So thanks for addressing that. My final question, Vikramadithya. Again, I know it will be difficult to give numbers, but I'm trying, right? You mentioned a period of, let's say, 2 years or 2.5 years, post which this factory comes on stream. Let's assume it does. And then I give you a 5-year block and ask or request you to tell me, under the blue sky scenario, everything going as per plan and operating at 100% capacity, et cetera, what are the kind of numbers that an investment of this nature and a manufacturing plant of this scale can generate? Maybe kind of revenues that it can generate at full capacity, optimum capacity, the kind of margins that you could work with in a product for a product like this. Can you share some details there?
I want to preface this saying that our overall investment quantum, which we talked about in Telangana, 9,500 crores.
Exactly.
We still have some plan to kind of deploy that over the next 5 years. Only that we are recasting that number a bit, because with the partner on board now, looking at the type of cell portfolio we want to bring out, we do believe there's a lot of optimization that they're going to be able to bring to the table. Our CapEx numbers are going to be largely optimized, possibly increased if we see even a good, healthy order book coming in, with the better technology. With the initial planned investment numbers, we were looking at getting up to like a 2.5 billion USD kind of a revenue target. In terms of margin, I know it's not the answer you want to hear, but even if I was to ask my partner what kind of margin profile they see, the supply chain being a very very dynamic in nature, pricing very dynamic. Sometimes the prices are dropping to bottom, sometimes they're rising. And they also have a hard time giving a very long-term projection on the margin. I believe that we're not going to have that I won't have that kind of clarity to give you today. And next time we meet, hope to give you a little bit more.
Yeah, maybe next time in person. Would love to see the construction as it starts as well. But congratulations on this deal, Vikramadithya, and all the best with all your plans.
Thank you so much.